Hi everyone, it's news from South Australia today. Unfortunately, they've announced that they have received too many invitations for chef, motor mechanic, and enrolled nurse. These three occupations. So many that people in these occupations get not invited massively. Now, I did tell people in the past that the cheaper the pathway you take, the more potentially the problems would be. That was my forecast 2 to 3 years ago. People still kept doing chefs, motor mechanics, and stuff like that because it was a really affordable course. Now, my forecast has now materialized, which means South Australia, I don't know about the other states, but South Australia has simply received too many applications, too many registrations of interest for chef, for motor mechanic, and for enrolled nurse. The enrolled nurse, by the way, is not a cheap course, unlike the chef and the motor mechanic. Not a cheap course, but with so many international students going for a registered nurse, doing a bachelor and becoming a registered nurse, obviously, there would be competition in the enrolled nurse because that's the cheaper version that people do. It's not cheap, it's not as cheap as chef or motor mechanic, but that's a cheaper version of a registered nurse. Let's put it like this. And now competition has outpaced supply. There are simply too many ROIs for chefs, cooks, motor mechanics, and enrolled nurses, and people are not invited, not invited, not invited. I have a real serious problem of staying in Australia now. They would potentially have to depart with the expiry of their 485 visa. So what tips can I give in this regard? Option 1, training visa, potentially 407. But that's employer sponsored. So you need to talk to your employer. Option 2, potentially a 482 employer-sponsored visa. Again, talk to your employer. Potentially DAMA for South Australia, for nurses, for enrolled nurses. Or if there's no employer that would like to sponsor you at the moment, you may consider going back to a student visa, which will have problems with being granted, most likely. We'll have serious issues with the genuineness requirement since you've been here for quite a while. So that's a real problem. So best option, talk to your employer, explain them the difficulty of the situation, and that potentially you would have to depart and leave Australia if they don't give an option. And maybe you will be lucky, and the employer will be able to help. Mechanics, chefs, enrolled nurses. Talk to your employers now. I can also talk to your employer if you wish to. If we have an eager employer that wants to continue to consider employer sponsorship, I'd be happy to discuss the costs involved and the steps involved with them. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.